Okay folks, welcome back. This session is a really very practical session, a session that I think will definitely help you improve your communication skills using email marketing techniques. Now, I do pretty well with my email program. I do like to communicate with my audience several times a week. If they've already joined my list, they'll automatically receive the first of a series of email follow-up messages. There's about 40 of them loaded in. So every day for 40 days, they're going to receive an email. But what happens after that? Or what happens if you have something very topical and important to share with your audience and they just can't wait until they've finished their 40 days? What do? Well, you send it out to them. And in order to send it out to them, you've got to know how to create a message that will be interesting to them, will compel them to open the email up and to read the contents. Now, this is very much a numbers game. Even the best written email in the world is not going to be opened by 100% of your list. It just doesn't work like that. But if you can get a higher percentage of your list to open your emails, that's fantastic. Now, I've had people say to me that, once people have been on their list for a month or something like that, the email open rates have dropped dramatically, and some people are only getting like 2%, 3%, 4% of people on their list opening the email. It would be very rare for me to get anything less than 5%. It would be rare for me to get less than 10%, and I'm talking about for an old list. Well, a list that's at least a month old, that have already been on your list for at least a month or even 3 months or longer. I will, even for an old list, I'll typically get more than 10% open my emails, which is more than double what some people are getting. When the list is new and fresh, or when somebody who joins your list, a high percentage of those new joiners will open your emails. Sometimes 20%, 30, 40, 50, 60, even up to 80%. But over time, the open rates tend to drop. So what we've got to do to bring them up again a little bit is to create interesting content for people. Now, what about ideas? It always starts with an idea, and often the simplest ideas are the best. And it doesn't always have to be about business. You can finish with a business message. That'll be in the last paragraph of your email. But try and think laterally here. Try and think a little creatively here and come up with ideas that you think your audience will like. And I like to just draw on day-to-day experiences quite often. So I've just got 5 ideas written down here. I've just plucked them out of the air. Just very now type ideas that have happened recently. And for instance, where I live at the moment I live in Saigon in Vietnam, and there's a wine shop that I walk past every day because I have a long walk every day, and I pass this wine shop, and the guy that owns it is Italian, and he specialises in Italian wines. You can only buy Italian wines. Okay. Now, it's a very nice looking wine shop. All right, it's a small shop, but it's very nice, boutique style. Okay, and but the thing that really stands out for me, I'm just going to change this. It's Italian, just to make it a little bit more specific. Italian wine shop with no customers. The thing that really stands out for me is that he never has any customers. I've walked past in the mornings, I've walked past in the afternoons, and I've walked past in the evenings. And this has been going on for months. I've never actually seen a customer buying a bottle of wine. I've been into the shop and it's always empty. And no, I've never bought a bottle of wine there either. And the reason being is that his prices are crazy. His cheapest bottle of wine is $45. His cheapest bottle of bubbly, sparkling wine, champagne, is it's like $60 or $70. Right? And so I'm thinking, okay, here's an idea for an email. So what I can do is I can write a little email about this, tell a story about this Italian wine shop with no customers, and do a little diagnostic on why he may not be getting customers. And I think definitely one of the reasons why he doesn't get customers is that he doesn't have any sweetness. He doesn't have, in terms of price, he doesn't have any entry-level products, and that's one of the golden rules of retail. You've got to, you lead with something cheaper, and you might have a specials board out the front, and then when people come in there and you start talking to them, okay, then there'll be, no doubt there'll be opportunities to upgrade those people into the higher value product, which is what you wanted to sell all along. Of course, not everybody's going to buy the higher value product, but at least get some movement happening, get some revenue coming in. It makes you feel better as a retailer, and it also sends out a good signal to members of the public when they start seeing there are a few customers in there. When they walk or drive past every day and they see an empty wine shop, it makes them less likely to come into the shop, doesn't it? All right, so because people are funny, they'll follow the leader. They'll wait and see what other people are doing. But you've got to get people into the shop in the first place. So that's basically what I would say, and then I would segue into a little message about my business. How that with my business, although one of our biggest selling products costs $2,000, we don't lead with a $2,000 product. We lead with a $49 product, less than $50 price point. And that way people can get used to having a financial transaction with us. They can get some confidence as a result of experiencing our business model, etc. And then as they get more confidence as a result of going through a process, some of those people will indeed spend $2,000 when they understand just how valuable it will be for them if they spend the $2,000. Okay? But we don't lead with $2,000, we lead with $49. So that's basically how I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell the story about the Italian wine shop, and then I'm going to finish off by saying, now contrast the story of the Italian wine shop with our story, and this is the way we do business. We don't expect people to put up big money initially. We want them to feel comfortable, and if a point arrives in the future when they feel so comfortable and so confident that they decide to spend more money with us, well, that's great. But we want them to kick the tyres, take it for a test drive, learn some stuff, and do it all for $49. See? So, and then you'd have your affiliate link at the end. That's basically how I would do it. It's not hard, and you've got to break through your lethargy, if that is an issue for you, and probably is. You've got to break through and get started on this stuff. Sure, you can rely on the done-for-you emails that you already have as a result of being a member of this site. But if you really want to get up there amongst the turkeys, the eagles, you've got to start creating your own magic as well, sooner or later. So, number one, Italian wine shop with no customers. All right, I'm going to create a headline. This will go in the subject line of the email. The mystery of... I'm just going to make it simple, no gimmicks, of the wine shop with no customers. Now, I may subsequently think of a more catchy headline after I play around with this for a little while, but at the moment, this is the best I can come up with. And it'll be fine anyway. Okay. And then I'm going to lead my opening paragraph. Opening paragraphs are very important. If you know anything about wine, you'll know that the older they are, the better they taste. And something like, and the more valuable they become. Something like that. We can tidy up the grammar, but later. Okay, so if you know anything about wine, you'll know that the older they are, the better they taste, and the more valuable they become. Well, there's this Italian wine shop 3 minutes walk from here that must have some very valuable wine. Why? It's always good to ask a little question. Because no one buys it. Got it? It just sits there on the shelf gathering dust. What a shame. And then all I'd do is I'd just ramble on a little bit for a paragraph or so and just, basically talk about the fact that, I've walked past this wine shop countless times and I've never seen a customer inside. And why is that? Well, one reason might be because, his entry price point is too high. $40 a bottle for his cheapest wine is a lot. So, and then as stated, I would then segue into a little promotion, last paragraph, for my business. Of course you won't have that, and you might finish up by saying, of course you won't have that problem with this business, because you can dip your toe in the water, not for $2,000, not for $1,000, not for $500, but for $49. And in the home business sector, that's a very low entry point price for you. Here's my link. Take a look at it now and get started. Something like that. That's it. All right, let's look at the next one. Conversation with a prospect. You may not have had a conversation with a prospect yet, but when you get your marketing going well, you will find that some of them will actually phone in. And I do get quite a number of phone calls each week. Not a huge number, but I might get 4 or 5 in a week. And I'm happy to talk to those people, and you should be too, as long as they're not my people. Talk to your own. But so if I have an interesting conversation with somebody, I might write about it. So let's have a look. Okay. I'm going to talk about how I solved a problem for somebody who phoned in recently. I haven't got a great headline here yet, but I'll come up with it. For now, I'm just going to say, solving problems, that's your job. Something like that. I think I can improve on that, but I need to come back to it. But even though that one isn't so bad, it's not brilliant, but it's okay. I want to tell you about a guy who called me the other day. That's a good way to open. Nice and personal. Hey, come closer. I want to tell you this story about somebody who phoned me the other day. I want to tell you about a guy who called me the other day. He had a real problem that was giving him some serious stress. I didn't know him from a bar of soap. But after 10 minutes, I felt I had heard his life story. Up here, I'm just going to clarify this. In one of my ads. He had a real problem that was giving him some serious stress. I didn't know him from a bar of soap, but after 10 minutes I felt I'd heard his life story. And here's what happened. See how we're sort of building, creating a little bit of drama, anticipation, and here's what happened. And I'm not going to do the rest of it now, but basically this guy had been retrenched, and then his wife left him. He was in a bad way, but he realised he couldn't just hide from life. He had to get back on the horse and start riding again. But he wanted to do it in a different way. He didn't want to go back into the workforce. Fortunately, he got a good retrenchment payout because he had been with that company for a very long time and was highly valued. It's just that the company fell on hard times itself, and they just had to cut to the bone. So between middle-aged, or anybody, but certainly it's harder when you get to a certain age to come back from a setback like that. But he was determined. He'd made the decision. He had a pity party for a few weeks, and then he said, right, number one, I'm not going back into the workforce. I'm going to set up my own business. I'm going to work from home so that I call the shots from now on. And I would just maybe write 2 more paragraphs about that. And then I would just finish off by saying, look, if you're if you join my business, you're not required to take phone calls from people, but I recommend you do, because it will take you away from sitting in front of the computer, which has got to be a good thing. It will give you an opportunity to talk to some people, some of whom are going to be interesting, and it will liven up, which in turn will liven up your day. It will give you more energy, more motivation, and finally, you may be able to solve a problem. They've made an inquiry about your business, and if you were in my business, wouldn't you want to help them? They made an inquiry to you, wouldn't you want to help them solve a problem? So we just chatted on the phone, blah, blah, and then finish off, here's my link. You want to join our team of problem solvers or something like that? Here's my link. We'll show you how to solve other people's problems so that you feel great about what you're doing for people. Something like that, okay? That would be the theme for this one. Now, okay, you haven't had anybody phone you yet, perhaps? Fine, no problem. Just look for opportunities. Anything that happens with your business that's positive, write about it. Create an interesting headline and you'll start to build an audience of people who like your stuff. All right, now let's go back. What's the third one? My son had his hair cut. Okay, this is true. My son hadn't had his hair cut for 6 months. And he was starting to look like a hippie. Problem is that he lives in Saigon as well. And the problem is that most of the natives here are very conservative. And that includes the police. And so when they see him on his motorbike screaming around the streets of Saigon, they pick on him. He becomes an easy target. He looks like a hippie, right? So finally, after having to pay fines, which some people might call bribes, I won't go into that, but finally he decided to wise up and I'm going to cut my frickin' hair because I think that's one of the reasons why I'm being targeted. The other reason was that he's wearing an Aussie type singlet and he just became a target. The police could see him coming from a mile off and they'd flag him down. So he stopped wearing the singlet, he cut his hair. That was 3 weeks ago and he hasn't been pulled over once, which is a big change because he was getting pulled over every week, at least once a week, and being hit up for money every time. So there's a story there. How are we going to use that? Okay, first of all, I'll start with the headline. I'm going to say hippie son and his close shave with the law. I could think of another variation, something to do with bribes, police bribes or something. I don't know. If I played around with it, I think I could come up with an even better headline than that. But hippie son creates a visual impression. People think, what's this about? When they get your email, get my email. What's this about my hippie son? Close shave with the law? Ooh, wow. I might just personalise it a bit more so they know it's my hippie son. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so what's the message here? Well, I won't do an opening paragraph here, but because you've got the idea already, I think. But basically, I want to tell a story about Nathan, my son, and he hadn't had a haircut for 6 months, and problem was that although he felt that this was the way to go from an appearance point of view, the local constabulary didn't have the same viewpoint. And because of that, he was continually being hit up for money by corrupt police. And I'll just tell the story. Now, how am I going to link this in with a business message? Sometimes I don't, sometimes I'll just send out an email that doesn't have any pitch at the end. But more often than not I will. Probably 80% of the time I'll have something at the end about business. But just let me think about this. come back to that one. Let's go on to number 4. Number 4 is Facebook post most people fail. Okay, there's a really good marketer that I follow on Facebook, and he put up a post. This was actually this morning, and it was to do with in fact, one of his team members said, why is the average person in the business only making $1,000 a year or $2,000 a year or something like that? I thought everybody was making big money. So he wrote a blog post about this particular issue. And of course, not everybody makes money. In fact, most people do fail. And then he looked at the reasons why they fail. So I'm going to just keep it simple, no gimmicks, why most people fail. Because I think a lot of people will want to find out about that. So if they see that sentence in their subject line of their email, there's a reasonable chance that they're going to open it and have a look. And so all I'm going to do is just extract the key points from this guy's post. He was saying things like, people fail because they're lazy, they're undisciplined. He basically beat people up. He's not afraid to do that. And look, he's right. Most people are lazy and they are undisciplined. You take them out of the work environment, the traditional, structured environment that they've been used to for 20, 30, 40 years or whatever, and they're like babies more often than not. They just don't discipline themselves to get down, and if they're in their home business and they've allocated 3 hours a day to it, all right, well, let's make that 3 hours count. That's the approach that I took when I started in this home business sector years ago. I said, right, I'm only doing it part-time. I have a full-time thing that I still need to take care of. I don't like it, but I have to do it anyway. So I can only do this in the evening, so I'm going to have to discipline myself to make those evenings count. So I'm going to have to turn off the TV. I'm going to have to cut down on my, extracurricular activities, including a long evening walk and all of that, just for a time, just for a short time, until I get this thing up and running, and then I can go back and reward myself after that. So, but I realised that after being in this sector, in this industry, and it's not peculiar to one company, by the way, it's right across the board. It's a real problem. But I'm not going to feel guilty about other people's lack of success. All I can do is point them in the right direction, keep my door open, be here for them to answer their questions, to act as a sounding board if they're looking for a little bit of inspiration, some ideas. Okay, I can do that as well. But at the end of the day, if they don't commit to doing the work, implementing what they learn, they are going to fail. That is absolutely certain. And I'm not taking responsibility for their failure. They must take the responsibility for their failure. And I'm not going to lose any sleep at night because of that. Because my conscience is clear. Okay, my conscience is clear. I gave them factual information before they joined the business. I did not gild the lily. I shared my story. Okay, I've done well, but I also say to people that my story is not typical. I did have some advantages in the early stages, and I often tell people you have to play the long game. You have to play the long game, which is what I do. Even though I did get off to a fast start myself, I still had my eyes firmly fixed on the end point, and that might be many years away. Okay, I play the long game. Most people don't. They're looking for quick fix, quick fix, quick fix. Partly because that's the way they've been indoctrinated with their job. It's all about a quick fix. It's about doing the work for 5 days a week and getting paid on Friday. That's it. I do the work, I put my hand out for the money. That's it. Whereas with home business, number one, a lot of people just don't do the work, as I said before. But even if they do the work, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get paid at the end of the week. It may take 3 weeks. There could be, we have to put in the groundwork. We have to build a foundation. We have to understand how momentum works, and that it takes real energy and time and focus to get to get momentum happening. So that's a bit convoluted, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to say something like, I saw a post, I will do just the opening, I saw a post on Facebook today which caught my attention. And I thought it might be helpful for you. The question is, why do so many people fail in their home business? See, I'm not afraid to air the topic. The same with, people say, oh, this is a scam or that is a scam, whatever. I'm not afraid to air that either. I have no fear about it because I'm totally confident with my position, the position that I take. I'm totally confident. I don't care about that, and I will air it, and I do air it. I talk about scams, I talk how to recognise scams, etc. And I also talk about why most people fail. And then all I'm going to do is then just say, well, let me list you the key points that this guy on Facebook, a guy that I respect, was making. Something like that. And I'll just list down the key points. So I'm just using his content. How easy is that? Now, and then I'm going to give some good news at the end. After that, I'm going to say, here is the good news. With our program, we have a support system that is the best I've ever seen. As long as you have some discipline, a burning desire for success, and a work ethic, how can you not fail? I'm just going to leave it like that. Here's your link. Let's get started. Test the water. $49. Take it for a test drive and work through the little training program that you get for the $49, and let's both of us see if this could be a great thing for you. And then just put the link. That's it. Last one, Robin Williams. Okay, this is very topical, so this will date this video, of course, but Robin Williams committed suicide. And I'm just going to put down, my heading is going to be the late, great Robin Williams, his gift to the world. Okay. The main thing is to put his name in the subject line because his name is fresh in people's thinking at the moment, or at least at the time of recording this video. The late great Robin Williams, his gift to the world. Now you've got to be careful about this when somebody has died, someone famous has died, that you're not seen to be exploitive. So you need to handle this in a sensitive way, but if it's done properly, you'll find that it works quite well. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open with something like this. I'm just going to say, I feel I've lost a friend. I'm talking about Robin Williams. I feel I have lost a good friend. I'm referring to Robin Williams. You see, I was a big fan, and because he exuded humanity, he did. There was a real great humanity about him, because I think that spelling's wrong, but not to worry. Because he exuded humanity, I, like millions of others, felt I knew him. And now he's gone. So notice how I'm breaking the sentences up. Don't avoid blocky text, big paragraphs. Break them up and use drama in your writing. And now he's gone. See how I've separated that one? Keep it separate from the rest because it gives it more impact. Okay? And then what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to talk about his gift to the world, and to me, his greatest talent was his talent for improvisation. He was great at thinking on his feet, coming up with incredible one-liners and all the rest of it. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to tie it into the message, the business message. But I'm going to do it in a very low-key way. I'm going to say, and although I don't really feel like talking about business today, I just want to make this one point to you, and it is this. When you start your home business, not everything goes to plan. Not everything works exactly as we expected it to work. We have to be flexible. And yes, occasionally we have to improvise. See how I'm tying it back into the improvisation message that I was conveying about Robin Williams. So, it's helpful if you can think on your feet just a little bit when you start your home business. Sure, there's a lot of done-for-you stuff that's included when you join. There's a system that you can plug into. But the best system in the world is only as good as the people who are using it. And marrying a good system with the ability to think on your feet a little bit will increase your ability to make money exponentially. Right, so I'm just sort of a stream of thought consciousness at the moment. And that's more or less what I would say in this email. And if you're on my email list, you no doubt will get an email about Robin Williams. You would have already received it. And you'll see what the finished item looks like. So that's that one. Just go back to my son. Damn it, my son is the hardest one. You've had a bit of time to think about this as well. Maybe you can think of the way I can segue into a business message here. He let his hair grow long. He was riding around on his motorbike in Saigon and was being regularly pulled up by the cops. He solved the problem by wearing a proper shirt instead of a singlet, and by getting his hair cut. That's how he solved the problem. So all I need to do, after telling that little story, is to say something like, if you've got a problem, chances are there's a solution. And sometimes the solution may be so obvious that you feel like slapping yourself in the face. When you trip over it. When you trip over the solution. Not trip over your face. You get what I'm saying here? So, once again, perhaps this is a problem-solving story. A little lesson on problem-solving. That sometimes these problems, they frustrate us. Problems with our home business, problems with life, whatever. Yet often the solution is just staring at us. My son was getting angry because he was having to pay these bribes at least once a week, and he was getting upset about it. But then when he calmed down, he just sat back and he thought, well, why am I being singled out here? Because I notice a lot of other white folk don't seem to get pulled up. Why am I getting pulled up all the time? Creative problem solving. Maybe it's because of my hair. Maybe it's because of my singlet. I know, I'll change both. I'll make a change and see if that improves things. Presto, lo and behold, he hasn't been pulled up in 3 weeks now. In your business, if you join me, my team, you will be able to plug into a community of like-minded people who are great at creative problem solving. Now, if you follow the system that we give you, and providing you've got a good work ethic and a positive mental attitude, chances are you won't need to use any creative problem solving, at least in the initial period. But if you want to take your business up to the next level, maybe you will need a little bit of problem solving ability. And that's why I'm sharing this lesson with you today. Something like that, okay? You need to massage it, polish it, but something like that. Now, another point, and this is probably the final point I'm going to make, and that is that for this to work, you need to have posture. I often talk about having posture on the phone when we're talking to people, but you also need to have posture via the printed word. And whether you're communicating with people on social media sites or via email or a blog or something like that, you need to convey posture. People are looking for leadership. They're looking for people that they can connect with who will lead them to a better place. And if you're not the one that can demonstrate posture and leadership, they'll keep searching till they find someone else. And you will lose out on the business. So using posture via the written word is very important, just as it is via the spoken word on the phone or whatever. But the written word is quite a potent little... being effective using the written word is a very important thing to do. And if you get good at this, or when you get good at this, you are going to find that you're drawing people closer to you. Their estimation of you will go up, and ultimately your conversions will improve. You'll get more sales. That's it. But you have to believe you are good enough. You have to believe you are worthy of being a leader, which may mean that you have to fake it till you make it. But if you do it, if you assume the persona now and keep refreshing yourself every day for the next month, it will then become second nature to you. See? So this isn't so much about technique, although I have shared a few techniques with you. Using a PS at the end of your email is another little technique, because people will often look at the PS. But I have shared some techniques. But really, this is a mental game more than it is a how-to game, a technical game. It's a mental game. That's the problem that people are having. Anybody can learn a few techniques. But if the thinking isn't right, it ain't going to happen. Number one, you're not going to take any action. And if you do take action, you're not going to be able to convey posture, which is critical. So you'll see that with all of my stuff, I convey posture. That's what I want you to do. Try it out. Send us, put some of your stuff up on, Facebook group. for review and critique. Say, hey guys, this is an email I'm thinking of putting together. I really love your feedback on it. And you will get feedback. You'll get helpful suggestions. All right, that's all for me. How to be a great communicator, master communicator. I love this topic. I absolutely love it. And I hope and trust it's been valuable for you. Okay, bye for now.